What up, Flomies? This is Phil, aka Good Flow. Welcome everybody to this new series of video where I would like to explain and talk about some things of rope flow that I usually talk about during my private session with my students. But I would like to start sharing this with everybody just to make clear my perspective on some of these things. This video will be pretty raw. I don't like editing too much, so I'll go straight to the point. And today I would like to talk about something before the practice, the real practice, so more based on a kind of philosophy behind rope flow. Obviously, everything is based and starting with the WAC methods, so the WAC method principles. So we start obviously with balance. Balance is something that is based on two different sides that has to be obviously balanced together. So we have this kind of duality that I call the duality of rope flow. It's very important to be aware of this thing because a lot of times during a session or during the practice, we think about what is the best way to do this or to do that. Do I have to go fast? Do I have to go slow? And so on. So I would like to go straight to the fact that we have this duality. We have the presence of this duality during the practice in a lot of different ways. First of all, the simple one is just having to perform with your dominant and non-dominant side. So we have to rebalance this thing through the practice, through rolling with this figure eight that brings my body go left, right in this infinite way. So we start from there, but it's not the only place where we find this duality. So I want to make a kind of list that it goes on and on infinite ways, but it can create a different perspective during your practice and in thinking about this rope flow thing. So we find this duality not only in the fact that we roll with dominant and non-dominant sides. So if you already know about cardinal laws, is east side and west side, where we do our transition, or just left hand, right hand. And at the same time, we have a weight shifting. So when we roll, we shift our weight on the right leg, left leg. So we gotta focus and bring awareness also on this thing. We also have obviously, talking about WAC methods, we have this long side that create a short side on the other part of the body, and when we go right, we have the opposite. So calling motion short and long side. So we got to bring awareness to this too. We also a lot of people ask me about the pace and the rhythm. So I have to go fast or I have to go slow? The answer is both. So I have to increase my speed to keep more tension in the rope, but at the same time I gotta be in control of the rope even with a slow pace. So I gotta practice all my moves, all my patterns, both slow and fast, and I gotta find the right tune. That also depends of the intention of my practice. If I wanna, for example, do some cardio stuff, I wanna go faster to warm up the body easily, or if I wanna focus more on the weight shifting, on the circumnavigation, on being more aware and focused on what I'm doing and traveling with more purpose and focus, I gotta go slower. So when I go slow, the rope is bending, so I gotta keep the tension of the rope even when I go slow. So still we have this two sides to balance it out. Also, we find this duality when we think about the rope. Obviously, we used to say that the rope during the practice is a teacher, so we follow what the rope is telling us. But at the same time, we got to remember that yes, the rope is a teacher for the movement of the body, but at the same time is a kind of weapon, so it's a tool. So the body can drive with intention the rope as a tool. So we have the rope as a teacher, so we follow the rope, and at the same time we have the rope as a tool, so we drive the rope doing what we want to do. If we think about putting a weaponizing intention during the practice, so the rope is our weapon, and as many of you know, it can hurt very bad. So we gotta follow the teacher, and we gotta be aware of how to drive this tool. Another thing that is a basic point of this practice is the body-mind connection. So while we are rolling, we are using our mind to understand the pattern and the navigation and the maps that we are following. So the mind is a very important part of the practice, but at the same time is the body. So we got to connect both things, and sometimes we focus a lot during the unlocking of a new pattern or learning a new movement. We focus a lot on the understanding, so on the mind perspective of what we are doing, and we forget for a moment what the body is doing. Or on the opposite side, maybe we want to push a little bit more during our practice, so we involve the body more and we lose control of cardinal laws or the space around us. So still we have this duality that we have to balance. So this is called the body-mind connection. So body and mind gotta go hand to hand and work together to find the right tune and the kind of perfect flow state. Not to forget everything, I got some notes over here. That's why I watch down some time. Even during the practice, there are a lot of people asking me, okay, what I gotta do? I gotta focus more on reps. I gotta focus more on free flows. I love free flows. I love doing patterns. I love unlocking new moves. I love this. I love that. The thing is still the answer is in the duality. So there is no right answer. So you don't have to do just free flows. You don't have to do just patterns. If you want to have a well-balanced practice, as in learning, I don't know, playing the piano or playing an instrument, you learn the basics, you learn the fundamentals, and you keep practice fundamentals and basics during your whole life during the practice. At the same time, you want to be able to roll or play the piano in a free way, so you can express yourself and you can really understand if the work you did is useful and is functional, okay, of what you're doing, if you can recall easily your basics to perform and to express what you want to do. So you need some free flow practice, you need some reps, you need some fundamentals. So what I can say about my practice, I used to start with the warm up, obviously, doing reps on fundamentals. So staying there and focusing just on doing the work. And on the last part of the practice, I try to let it go and so balance out my my homework on fundamentals, doing free flows and see if everything is rolling in a good way, in a free way, in a yeah, in a nice and free-minded way, rolling my rope. Okay, so there is no right answer. The right thing is always to have both sides perspective. That's why we have the kind of Bozu philosophy. So both sides utilized. This is happening in my practice, from the fundamentals to the free flow. So always trying to balance this out in this way. We find this duality again in one of the most important thing about rope flow. So if we talk about cardinal laws, we know we have the underhand and the overhand. We will talk a little bit deeper in the next video about cardinal laws, but basically we have this underhand pattern that is tied to the gait, to run, and to all this kind of movements, and we have the overhand patterns tied to the fight motion. So we have flight, fight, that is our like primitive response to what's happening. So we have to be able to roll the flight side, the underhand, and we have to be able to roll in a proper way the fight side, so the overhand, and tie them together during the circumnavigation, during the practice. So again, almost every pattern that we roll underhand can be done overhand, and we should vice versa. Yes, almost everything. And so still we have to find the right tune on every pattern, perform overhand and underhand. So again, we find this duality. And if we still stay here with the cardinal, we have also east and west that we can just like tie it up to dominant and non-dominant side. It is not like this, but north flight underhand, south fight overhand, east west is the two way to do transition from north to south, south to north. Okay. Another one thing that we can think about is practicing with music or without music. Again, there is no right answer. The best thing to do is practicing with music to be more like pumped, okay, and hyped up. But during the session, we can be driven by the kind of music and the kind of vibes that I have in my ears. At the same time, it's a very good thing to roll with the more presence without the music, so we can be more aware of what's happening. And even because our balance is also tied to our ears, so it's pretty good to have more awareness and practice without the music, so we can be a little bit less distracted by uh, what's flowing in our mind with music vibes. Okay, uh, so we can recall all this thing to to the Tao. So in the Tao we have this black and white part that blend together, form the circle. And if we think more about rope flow, we have this figure eight. Okay, so we have this circle on the left and circle on the right that are connected by the midline and the center. And um, if we talk about a little bit more uh, a philosophical point of view, um, the purpose of the Tao is to uh, bring awareness of these two sides, and the purpose is to find this midline and to blend the two sides together. And if you talk about the figure eight, is to find the right balance into the center point. So when we talk about the figure eight, we can think about left side is kind of the past, right side is the future, and the middle point where we cross the midline is um, the present moment. Okay, so it's the here and now. That's why it's so cool, this practice, because we really practice this going left and right, connecting again the duality here again, connecting the two hemisphere of the brain through our hands moving side to side. And this is something that we also find in, I don't know, skiing, okay, or going cycling with the bicycle, or swimming. Okay, we have this motion, running, walking. So all this side to side motion bring us into this figure eight pattern. Rope flow is intended to be a practice focused on this thing. So is first of all, is for everybody, so everybody can do it without so much effort. And so the purpose is to always find the right tune to be in the present moment, to be in that point in the center, in this crossing the midline. Okay, the same is with if we think about the Tao. So the thing is not to just to be aware of the two sides, but is to kind of blend them together and make the mid S line disappear, because we try to create a whole movement through the two sides. So this brings to a kind of what I call a third part. Okay, so if we think about figure eight, we have left, right, and the middle. If we think about the Tao, same thing, white, white, black, and this midline that where we wanna stay. So a kind of gray spectrum. Okay, so if we think about bringing back the body and the mind, the way to bring them together is this third part that we can call the feeling or soul or the vibe, something that help us to, like David Weck says, feeling is knowing. So that's why we gotta bring awareness and a wider perspective on this duality, because we gotta be aware and ready to recognize what we are doing. So are we going fast? So maybe we gotta practice also slower. Are we going to practice a lot of overhand? Okay, we gotta bring awareness and practice also the underhand, and be in tune and be aware before we find the right tune, that it is this feeling. So even when we practice some patterns, the best way to understand if what we are doing is right or wrong, there is no wrong, but is to feel our body, being aware of this duality, being aware of the understanding that we have of the practice, cardinal laws, maps, pattern that we are doing, basics, foundational movement, and whatever, and keep swinging, keep rolling, keep putting this in tune, and this focus and this feeling is the kind of third part that is the most, I don't want to say the most important, but it's very important, because is the real flow state. Okay, if we think about the flow state, we will talk about this thing also in the next video. The flow state is the midline between the challenge that we're facing and the skills that we have. So if we balance challenge and skills with focus, this brings us to stay into the flow state. So this deep focus and presence during what we are doing. We will talk about the flow state again in the future. So I know these are a lot of information, but during the practice and during the rolling, you will find this all things a lot of times. So it's not that you have to study them, it's just to being aware of this duality, and being aware that when I find myself in a situation, I gotta balance it out on the other side and blend them together and try to connect them in a whole. There is no finish to this, because the figure eight is the infinite sign, so it's an endless practice. So the work is just to keep going, keep tuning in, keep finding the balance, and keep flowing with your rope. So for today's video about duality is almost everything, but I would like to hear your perspective on this, and for sure you have more duality examples that you can put it in the comments, and that's it. So please comment about your perspective. See you to the next video. Peace out, have a good flow.